I'm Brent Adams. I've waited for years for a people's movement to spark, and once it did, I'm ready to be front and center with my camera.
You know, a lot of our focus is being taken off of the reason we're here because we're having to put so much effort into dealing with both the city and the county separately, who are both harassing us and threatening to evict us. The city has sued us in court, and they have a requirement that we be in court with a lawyer on Tuesday and then have a decision on Wednesday. And that's for this camp down here on the benchlands in San Lorenzo Park. And then the county has sent sheriffs out almost every night to give people tickets for violating the 647E camping ban, and those could entail 6 months in prison in jail for each of these people. And now they have come and said that not only are they going to give the tickets, they've taken some of the tents away, they've forced tents to be taken down, and they now say on Monday that they are going to come and take the dome down and every other supply that's there and take it away. So we are having a special GA today, General Assembly today, to talk about that.
Occupy Chapel Hill in North Carolina. I don't know if people have heard of this. Last night they took a building that's been empty for 10 years. A giant building. I heard you could fit an airplane inside of it, right in downtown Chapel Hill. And they held it all night. They're still holding it right now, at least at the 6 p.m. East Coast side.
This is back when General Assemblies were well attended and robust. There's Commander X and indie media journalists Robert Norris and Alice DeRossi. Attorney Ed Fry. Santa Cruz Vice Mayor Don Lane.
It is a two-way street. You know, we're taking a firm position as a city. I'm supporting this. That at some point, if nothing changes, the city whose park this is will take action to do something about that, just as the General Assembly seems to be taking a position, we're not moving no matter what, and we're running this camp the way we want. Those are two very firm positions. That's why you have negotiations. So I'd encourage you not to have conditions on your negotiation. Let's talk and work these things through, each from our firmly embedded position. I do think it's valuable, as was said, that we have some additional porta potties here. It would really be good if they were right there. Yeah. You know, right, really available for people, right adjacent to the tents. The city might even contribute in some way. Likewise for a trash, you know, kind of a dumpster or a trash receptacle of some kind. So that's one piece that I think would be helpful. Another piece, even though there was the good offer of trying to thinking about rehabilitating the grass afterwards, minimize the damage and possibly minimize kind of the footprint of the space, not trying to get everybody to move wholesale, but just kind of working around that issue. Activities, some of which are questionable and illegal, that I know are a concern to you as well, just have an understanding about how that's really going to be managed. Those are the three things: sanitation, the footprint, and the management of the space are what I bring as concerns to a discussion.
A lot of you have heard me speak before. I've facilitated some meetings, and you know that I love this process. I believe in it. I have studied it. I have thought on it. I have worried over it. I love it. I think this is the future. And there is an answer in that process. And I would like to make a concrete proposal that I would hope would engender the two agenda items. We would form a working group, a city liaison working group. That working group would meet in an emergency session immediately after this meeting.
What kind of fight? Occupy! I don't want to put the porta potties because a lawsuit or whatever is telling us to. I think that we should make it very clear that when we try and deal with the sanitation of our camp, We're doing it as ourselves for our camp, not in response to litigation from the city. Even though people said, oh, you can't sue one of us, I believe you said that one of us is being sued. I believe Steve is being named in this lawsuit.
My general opinion is that we should appear in court, that we should fight their finding of fact this is a public nuisance. I don't believe that it is. I think it's an opportunity for us to tell the courts, tell the city, tell the community that this is a public benefit. This is not a public nuisance. I would delay any filing of appearance for myself in court so we could take the time to perhaps remove this case to federal court. We should appear in court and have our day in court and have our say, whether it's here, whether it's federal court. That's what we want to do. That empowers us.
We have a proposal to this unformed currently working group to go and represent us tomorrow at 10:30 a.m.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so that's one proposal.
The meeting tomorrow have to make any binding decision about anything.
Nothing would happen in the meeting that would be a decision. If the group that met said, we agree on these things, the folks from Occupy who were in the meeting, which come to your next General Assembly, me and the Parks Director and whoever else comes from the city, would go back to the city manager. And the city manager has some authority on his own, and he could just say, yeah, we're amenable to that. And then if both you as the larger assembly and the city manager said, okay, we've got a deal, then we got a deal.
Does the working group going to the city council really have that much to do with the lawsuit? I think we're making two different decisions here, and I feel like we're having it presented as if we're making decisions in a binary way, or a dichotomous way when we don't have to. It seems like a working group that talks to the city doesn't necessarily have anything to do with us as a GA talking about empowering our legal team to take the thing to federal court.
We are very concerned about this lawsuit. One of our demands might be that they drop the lawsuit. That might take place in the meeting.
Okay, so let's see a vote. All in favor? Consent. And then I need to see any stand aside. Just put your and any thumbs down. And how about any blocks?
The proposal passed. Now for a lesson in why camping is protected by the First Amendment.
The United States Supreme Court has said in a decision long ago that the very activity that the city is trying to stop is a valid form of protest under the First Amendment. Camping is a valid form of protest. It's just like burning your draft cards. That's not speech, but that's symbolic conduct. And sleeping is also symbolic conduct, valid form. Okay? Eventually, we want to face the fact that it's the federal government that's the real source of the problems here. The city government is just following in the footsteps and following the patterns of federal government, which is to control people's lives unduly.
That night on Occupy Plaza, which is on county property, the Sheriff's Department continued with their nightly barrage of 5 a.m. raids, which interrupted the sleep of the activist campers there.
And you guys are enforcing it to break up our political protests. We need the rest.
This was a wake-up raid. Anyone who was still in their tent got a ticket. The effect of doing this at 5 a.m. wreaks havoc on one's sleep cycle and creates physical and emotional stress. A few people were detained and several were ticketed.
I got a ticket tonight. An officer asked me to come up and said, come here. I asked him what was wrong. He said, you're lodging.
I got a ticket tonight, man. Check it out. For, what's that say? Illegal lodging? Like, sitting in my tent with Susie Cream Cheese having a latte.
Earlier today, county deputies moved in, started issuing citations and making arrests. Here's some early morning video obtained by Action News from Occupy Santa Cruz. Eventually, 9 were cited for illegal camping. 2 were arrested for not having any identification.
Today's citations and arrests come as we move even closer to Wednesday's deadline for occupiers to clear out of San Lorenzo Park and the court hearing on whether or not the city can make them leave. The campers indicated they have no intention of moving. Protesters like Christopher Sirodin have no intention of pulling up stakes. He's staying even with the threat of more citations.
I'll take another ticket, yes. I believe that what we're doing is right.
This morning, campers were huddled inside this geodome, receiving legal advice. Sheriff deputies say they will continue to issue citations, and if someone doesn't have valid identification, they could end up in the county jail across the street.
The main camp was on city property and not under the authority of the Sheriff's Department. The camp suffered many police patrols and legal action by the city.
None of the campers here were approached by police last night or this morning, but they'll have their day in court when a judge will decide whether or not to issue a preliminary injunction. Occupy Santa Cruz and Steve Pleash are named in the injunction. The city attorney filed it Thursday, which essentially says Occupy Santa Cruz can use the park to demonstrate, but in doing so, they must obey the rules like everyone else.
I'm not really certain they're asking us to remove the tents. I think they are asking us to abate what they perceive to be a public nuisance.
We'd formed after the start of Occupy Wall Street. We had the support of the community. The city and county now threatened to remove us and began to wage a campaign of psychological torture, and we were feeling the heat. But we had a secret weapon, the vice mayor.
So we decided we're not going to allow video.
No video? I did manage to get a microphone in there.
Grant the authority. It's worded explicitly in such a way as it just is permissive rather than mandatory that the nuisance be abated. So that buys all of us more time between, even if the court did grant that, before anything happens. We should press on here with trying to come to a good understanding, a good agreement about management of the park, and it just can make the injunction be irrelevant.
Gentlemen, aren't you going to join the meeting?
Yeah, we weren't invited. We don't meet with cowards that are masked up.
I don't think anybody there is masked up.
Well, go take a look at the guy wearing the black bandana, and then tell me what you think. Come on, Phil, how are you?
Vice Mayor Don Lane met with Occupy Santa Cruz members to try and hammer out a compromise.
I've come to the General Assembly 4 times, and then I've had a couple of smaller meetings.
But I mean, is this a General Assembly meeting?
No, this is a committee, a working group.
What was the feeling today after meeting with the group?
Good. I think we're moving slowly, but we are moving forward, and I think that's good. We're just trying to take care of some of the issues that we have with the park. If we can come to an agreement, there would be a possibility of tents remaining. I think that's the goal, is to make it so that the use of the park is healthy, but also allows for free speech activities. The city isn't obligated to do any enforcement action just because of the injunction. So if we're making good progress, I think there's a real chance we could come to an agreement. That the city, has a certain piece of land that we're dealing with, which is this park, and then the county has the courthouse steps, and they have a different regime for how they enforce their law. We communicate, but neither of us can tell the other what to do. Thank you. I think that's our best option.
Yeah.
So it's kind of more by example. Have you guys just gone to the Board of Supervisors? John Leopold is the county supervisor who I'd recommend.
All right.